very first time I heard about this $1 million tournament, first we weren't sure whether it was a scam or like, I don't think anyone really thought that it would be like an actual job. I just took a back seat and was a coach for that first one. The only tournament I'd played in before that was DreamHack. So TI was a bit different. They put us in like a pretty nice hotel in Germany, and there were 15 other teams there, so it was a bit surreal at the time. I was the sixth man at TI1. We beat MUFC, and then when we played Moscow 5, at that point I think most of the players were pretty much burnt out, so it was a rough tournament. Even after the loss, we got about 25 grand. I felt like you could make a lot of money off this. My mindset was that I wanted to make it to TI2 as a player in any way possible. And then once I joined EG, I was just trying to learn how to work well with the team and do as well as I could. For TI2, we had the home crowd cheering for us. Teams got a lot more serious between TI1 and TI2. The stadium was bigger, there was more fans. We played at IG. We ended up losing a game 3. That was pretty heartbreaking. I don't think we dealt with the loss in a great way. Shortly after TI2, I left the team. I wanted to come back next year and do better. After TI2, I took a break from competitive for a while, and then eventually I got asked to join Dignitas. TI3 was probably the lowest point in my Dota career. I didn't feel like I gave it my best effort around TI3. My parents at the time were very upset with what I was doing, and during that time, EG had bought a team house, so I was able to move out of my parents' house and live here, so that was a big motivator for me. At TI4, we got second in groups, so we were guaranteed $100,000 each. All of us were pretty excited because I don't think any of us had ever made that much money before in anything. The fans at TI4, it was a huge jump up from the first 3 TIs. DK versus EG, we were like 2 of the best teams at the time. In the second game, I had a good Faceless Void game. That was the first time that I really felt the high of being like on a huge stage. I hit some pretty cool chronos. I heard the crowd like roar.
The chronos on 3 and back, UNiVeRsE!
That was a pretty big defining moment. I feel like I've always been like chasing that moment ever since. It was a pretty close game, and then the third game we lost in like pretty spectacular fashion in like 15 minutes. It was a tough loss for us, but at the same time, third place, it's not too bad. TI5 was probably the TI that I worked the hardest at. I think it was part the prize pool, and it was part what happened in the year before. TI5 was a lot more organized. There was individual practice rooms for everybody, and I felt like it was the perfect event. We ended up losing to CDEC. It was a pretty crushing loss, and we were very keen on just brushing that loss off. I think we played 4 games against them and played very well in the finals. I hit a couple blind hooks, and that one moment on Earthshaker that people remember. When I made that play, like the crowd was insane. I could feel the vibration of the crowd. It's a crazy rush. Ever since TI4, I felt like I'd been chasing that feeling, and then at TI5, I feel like I finally found it again. I felt like I finally achieved like exactly what I set out to do ever since I started playing. It was the first time my whole family went. They were just like blown away. And after TI5, I think they just completely stopped worrying about what I'm going to do next. When I joined Team Secret, at the beginning it seemed like a good decision. But then after a couple tournaments, it was pretty clear that it just wasn't working out. EG asked me if I wanted to come back and play, so I decided I had a better shot of doing well at TI with EG than I did with Secret, so I went back to EG. We got the TI6, and since we were the returning champs, we got solo rooms this time around. We had a couple great matches. I played Void again, and we had some nice chronos.
On UNiVeRsE's Faceless Void.
And then we ended up losing to DC in the lower bracket. We ended up getting 3rd place at the entire event. If 7 years ago someone told me that I would have been invited to all the TIs, I guess I probably wouldn't have believed it, you know. The biggest thing that's changed between TI1 and TI6 is the level of commitment from the players. The prize pool has gone up in a big way, and being a player is a definite career option. The thing that stayed the same for me is the passion of the fans has always been there. I would say right now the International is very important to Dota. Basically the entire year is just revolving around TI. All the TI experiences I've had have made me a better person in some way or another. constantly being around teammates in stressful environments and having to work through personal conflicts, I think it helps anybody grow as a person.